with us Mr. Ajay Thakur, who is the head of BSC or the Bombay Stock Exchange startup and this small and medium enterprise listing at the Bombay Stock Exchange. He's been a pioneer of getting small businesses to achieve the dream of getting listed, and where else but on the Bombay Stock Exchange itself, which is kind of a dream that every entrepreneur who starts a business has, that they would want to see their stock trading on the Bombay Stock Exchange, and now even startups have that option of doing it. So I would want to start with few questions that I would want to ask, and we could take the conversation along those lines. We've seen, what are your thoughts on these startups? You know, they are doing so well despite the pandemic in terms of getting funding. For example, there are startups that have tripled their valuation. Or for example, Zomato. There are so many of them. I can go on and on. But even though there was a pandemic, the startups have done really well. What are your thoughts around it, sir?
You have asked a very pertinent question about the startup. Indian landscape has been changing for last few years. India is no longer a destination for job seeker, but also a job provider. Okay, people mindset have changed. Everybody wants to become an entrepreneur, and some sort of, I term it as, Indian industrial revolution. Okay, so we are seeing a lot of startups coming out with very innovative ideas. Only thing what they require is the financial discipline and financial prudence. And if that business is scalable enough, then there are, lot of people who are ready to fund it, from the angel side to, venture funds and even at the PE space. And over the time, we have seen the company multiplying their valuations. Now, when we talk about 2020 itself, in this calendar year, we have seen almost $47 billion of fundraising, which is as good as the last year. Though having said that, yes, a big chunk of that was, garnered by Reliance, various platform of Reliance. But still, during the pandemic year, if other startups are able to raise 32 billion of dollars, I think it's a great thing. India now has become the third largest destination of startups. Now, what has changed in India? If you see in India, India is slowly becoming a digital country. Okay. Now there is a lot of revolution into telecom space. Everyone has got smartphones. And what has happened in this COVID era is that these startups, which can provide some sort of contactless, facility, they start, multiplying their valuation. People start thinking, or people, this perception, I can say that perception has come, that now the days of these apps has come. These digital platforms have come, and people will like to avoid going at crowded place. Rather, they will, like to enjoy the food, or enjoy the, or even, avail educations and other things in their house itself. Okay, even, talk about, funds mobilization. Even it has started happening through the, mobiles or internet, etc. So these things which has changed the whole landscape has, re-rated the valuations of this company, and therefore you are seeing the valuations of Zomato, or even you see Baiju and other companies. It has started multiplying, and investors have started pumping the funds in those companies.
Right, you absolutely nailed the point by because people are now wanting services at their doorstep. One such sector, sir, that is doing really well recently is fintech, and that seems to be the right sector right now with startups like Cred, which in advanced stage of talks to raise about 200 million at a 2 billion valuation, or Yap, a fintech firm that has raised 30 million. Will this trend continue, blustered by sub trends like crypto and NFTs, etc., sir?
I am quite sure on that the fintech companies are going to do well. In fact, slowly and slowly, that will be the necessity. Okay, when becomes the necessity, people are born to use. No one likes to carry the cash nowadays. Okay, after demonetization of 2016 and bringing and more of the companies under the compliance net, and where the companies and once again GST coming into vogue, more and more fintech companies doors got opened. Okay, more and more people, more corporates, and more banks will like to work in this space called fintech space. Okay, now I am giving you one more thing. Today we are talking about fintech, etc. In fact, the stock exchanges like BSE and NSE were the first fintech companies in this country. Okay, whereby we have totally transformed the trading systems. Everything is on the system based. So the first fintech has started with BSE and NSE. Okay,
Absolutely.
totally contactless trading. All the funds, and in fact, it's a STP, a straight through process. Okay, so that was the first thing, though it has not got the recognition, and people were not using the term fintech the way people are not using other companies which are coming into this space. But let me tell you, we have visualized at that point of time itself that all the sales transactions and monetary transactions should happen in the contactless space and in more transparent manner. So that we have visualized, and now you are seeing all these things happening. Okay, if you see the young population, etc., they like either use cards. Okay, or they use, and again the credit cards, though we carry the cards, but again it's some sort of fintech transactions only. Okay, if you see internet trading, etc., is it has gone up by many times. Okay, so in fact it has opened the door for these fintech companies to reach to the investors. Okay, talk about their innovative ideas, and raise funds, because India again, it's a 1.4 billion population. Okay, and even if 40% of this population becomes tech savvy, you can understand how many fintech companies are required in this country, and for all of them there will be huge businesses. So I see very good prospects for fintech companies. Of course, same fintech company, a lot of fintech companies giving same type of services is not going to work. They have to be little bit different from each other. But I'm quite sure, say for example, I am telling you, we have got Beam, we have got Google Pay, we have got Paytm. Now businesses are there for everyone, and there are other such apps are also coming, and they will also get clients or customers. So I think there is ample space, seeing the population of this country and the number of banks and the monetary transactions that are happening place. I think it gives a good foundation to this fintech company to prosper.
Absolutely. The point that you made, that the Bombay Stock Exchange was the first fintech company, that was a very, very valid point that you made that. And now that I look up, as a kid, when we used to see trading happening in the ring, from there to where the trading has gone, you can do your trading from your phone itself. I think that's a huge change that Bombay Stock Exchange has brought about. And more importantly, um, being recognized as a fintech itself. I think it is definitely a very good point that you made. The point on funding, recently we've seen a lot of startups inching towards an IPO. As someone who heads the startup and SME listing at Bombay Stock Exchange, what are your thoughts on the number of startups recently announcing their plans to go public?
I think there are two platforms. One is the main board exchange, another is the startup exchange or the SME exchange. For example, just now, Najara, Najara was a
Yes,
startup. Okay, it has opened their IPO, and it got
yes.
almost 125, 130 times. Sorry, 250 times it got subscribed. So sometimes when I see the capital market performing last 6 7 months, the way IPO market has opened up, it gives me a feeling that for capital market, COVID has come as a blessing in disguise. Okay, and even most of the startups, that the way they have got the valuation, because many of these companies which have grown into large corporates, for example, Easy My Trip, it also got listed. It was also a startup. So what has happened? Now the IPO market is getting matured.
Hmm.
Okay, investors are also looking for various avenues for investment. Now everybody is not looking towards land investment in lands, or real estates or gold or silver. They want different asset class to invest. So what you will see that these investors will have the appetite for these companies to invest. In other countries also, the way the interest rate has come down, either it's negative rate of interest or 0%, and they also want to invest in some risky assets where the yield is higher. And I think equity is the favorable or preferable class, okay, where they will like to invest. And that's why we have seen a lot of foreign fund inflow in the capital market. So having seen all these things, I see a good prospect, unless until something some havoc get created, or you see the yields in the US bonds inching very high. There will no funds outflow from the capital market. So yes, if you leave aside the exceptional situations, I think investors will buy these companies, buy these stocks. There are many disruptions happening into the capital market. Especially, people are looking for new sectors, okay, where they can see the business getting scale up. So these people will start investing in these companies. You will see slowly and slowly household sectors investment also moving up into the capital market. And in last 3 4 months, or in last 6 months period, we have seen 2 crores, okay, almost 20 million new investors getting added to the capital market, which is going to give a lot of boost to this market. And I am quite sure that though recently we have seen the market falling by 3,000 points, but still the IPO market is hot. Okay, investors are ready to put money in these companies, okay, which have got good future prospects. And these startups will keep on coming one after another, seeing the success of other startups on our main board or on the startup board. Even the startup, we have relaxed the guidelines. So a small, I can say mini startup, which are in angel scenario, they will also look to the startup platform to attract funds. Till today, we have got 8 startups listed. Almost they have raised 30 crores rupees from the market. There are another 2 3 startups in pipeline on our startup platform. So going forward, I see very attractive space there. But of course, on the startup platform of BSC or the SME platform, we want the investors to look it favorably. If they start looking it favorably, I think these platforms will also take off in the times to come.
So you absolutely made the point very clear that we as Indians see opportunity in adversities, and as you rightly said that even in the pandemic we saw opportunities, and probably that's where we've seen the optimism in the markets. Even while overall there was a gloomy picture that was being painted, but I think the financial markets have probably helped us sail through the pandemic much better as well. You did
I
mention about
many of
sorry.
the times I say that even the capital markets stalwarts should be given the Padma Shri or Bharat Ratna or something like that, because
Absolutely,
they are the people who create an ecosystem on which all these companies prosper, on which the economy of the country prosper. And let me tell you, capital market is a place where all the stakeholders get benefited. So I think the capital market is playing a very important role, and investors should look into these companies, whether SME startups, and although because capital market is like a pilgrimage, okay, where we are creating temples, okay, and what are the temples of modern India? The SMEs, the startups, the large corporates, which are going to create employment and GDP growth in our country.
absolutely. Um, Coming back to the IPO listing, and Bombay Stock Exchange has been working, and I've seen, even for SME listing, how closely you work with the companies and how you help them and handhold them as well. Could you share more about how do you help, startups achieve their dream to go public?
We have created a platform for the startup whereby we have kept the eligibility criteria as light as possible. So what we are saying that any technology oriented company, okay, which has got a track record of 2 years with positive net worth, can get listed on the a startup platform. So very relaxed eligibility criteria. Any technology oriented company with 2 years of track record and positive net worth, and registered as a startup with DIPT, or if they are not registered as a startup, then their paid up capital needs to be 1 crore. Okay, so if they meet all these criteria, they are able to get listed on our startup platform. So whenever such startups approach to us, we call the merchant bankers and tell them to help these startups, in doing the documentation process, because documentation process is very difficult for them to, understand or do. So the merchant bankers do the proper hand holding and ensure that all the documents, can be, all the documents get properly prepared. They make the presentation to the investors, and if the investors get ready to invest in the company, they bring the IPO and get these companies or the startups listed onto the on our startup platform. So very simple process. Even the post-listing compliances we have kept the minimal. What we are saying that you have to do half-yearly compliance, means half-yearly they have to file unaudited result, and on yearly basis they have to file audited result. So all the post-listing compliances have been kept minimal. There is no requirement of publishing any results into the newspaper or anywhere. They have to just file with the stock exchange. So the cost part is also taken care of post-listing. So we have tried to ensure that the startups should not face problems while getting listed or even post-listing. So this
Right.
is what we have done. At any point of time when the startup comes to us, try to understand the whole systems and how this market works, or if they have any problem, or if they are facing any problem, we ensure that all those things get sorted out.
Excellent, sir. Sir, if there are any startups that are looking to connect or would want to get listed, how do they go about it? Is there a dedicated website where they go and register their interest, or they get in touch with your office, or how does this happen, sir?
All the channels are open. We have got our website www.startupsbsc.com. Besides that, we have got telephone numbers there on the website through which they can contact us, and we will help them to get listed. So, or they can even register there. So that facility is also available on the website, whereby they can register or write a mail to us, and our officials will connect to them and ensure that they should be properly hand-holded and get listed on the startup platform if they are
Excellent.
eligible.
Excellent, excellent. I think that would be the easiest way. Probably the startups would be able to connect and probably make the dream come true. One last question. Any parting words of advice for startups planning to go public? Because you've seen a lot of startups come to you. A lot of them do make mistakes or are over ambitious at times. What are your final thoughts that you would want to share with startups that are looking to reach out to BSC for getting listed?
For the startups, as far as the exchange is concerned, we are of course going to give them all sort of facilities what they are looking for. Proper hand holding will be there, so that's not an issue. Now the second thing is that the business side. Okay, on the business side, they have to keep their eyes and ears open. They should avoid herd mentality. Okay, herd mentality many of the times dangerous. That if someone is doing good in some sector, everybody start rushing to that sector itself, and finally, nothing happens. So that's very important. Third, each startup should have their own USP. Many of the times these promoters come and they talk about valuation. I always request them to just focus on the business, not only try to increase the top line but also try to make profit in the business. Okay, so that it should be long lasting. Ultimately the positive cash flow will help the companies to run for the longer time. So these are the suggestions that I keep on giving to the startup promoters, because most of the times they are young. There are chances to get carried away by seeing others. But in Hindi, we always say that dur ka dhol bahut suhavna hota hai. Okay, so that's why these promoters must understand that though it is sounding very nice, but there are a lot of pins behind it. Okay, so they should properly analyze everything and then rush to that business. And if all these things, and one very important thing is that always have an eye on your finances. That
Absolutely.
is very important. If you have an eye on your finances, I think you'll be able to run your business properly.
Absolutely. Very, very, very valid points I think you made. And more importantly, as you said, that while they try to grow their company, their product, but finance is one area that they should keep their eye on and closely monitor it so that they would in long run succeed in what they are doing. Thank you so much, sir, for joining us here today.